So relationship forward, we're talking about how to remove ego, how to undo ego, and then bring that into our relationships. And we're going to find out some of the reasons we're doing this as we go along, because there are tremendous benefits for living in this way without ego. And some people think that you need ego, that it's natural or inevitable, that you have to have some ego, you try to control your ego or have too much ego. What I've learned is that you don't need any ego. There's no advantage to ego. And we're going to use the most extreme case today, not just as a theoretical exercise, because I mean it. I mean that I want you to experience what I've experienced, which is to have relationships without jealousy, even without sexual jealousy. Most people don't even think this is possible. But yet, if you think about it, how wonderful would it be for you to be with the love of your life, or the loves of your life, and not have any of that terrible jealousy inside you or your partner or partners. And it's something that can easily be achieved. In fact, it's the absolute natural outcome of what happens when you remove ego from the relationship. Now, I know that's probably a huge, unbelievable claim to people. And immediately what happens when someone says that you don't have to be sexually jealous or possessive is that your ego kicks in. And I'm sorry, you're probably feeling it to some extent. And I know what you're going through because I've been there. Your ego says, oh God, no, I couldn't imagine my partner. Of course, you can imagine yourself being with someone else, no problem. And you know that you're not going to love your spouse any less or your partner any less because of someone else. But if you think about your partner doing that, you say, that's not for me. That's not for me. I'm jealous. Okay. The problem is that the implications, the consequence of living in a jealous relationship, or a relationship where the ego is thriving, the ego is allowed to live there with you, is that your life is severely limited. What ends up happening is you have lots of rules. You can't do even innocent things without some suspicion involved. You have zero trust because you have these rules, and the rules basically being you can't like some other person besides me. You can't be attracted to other people, or certainly you can't express that or do things with other people. So that means you basically can't do anything, because even if you do something, if you smile the wrong way, I'm going to get jealous and I'm going to be upset, and we're going to have an argument and resentment and issues. And that goes both ways. And after so many years, what ends up happening to every couple who goes through this is how you kill love. And I've been there. I've done this, in my previous relationships. I found a better way. And before I tell you about it, I do want to say that it doesn't necessarily, you can call it polyamory. I don't like that term necessarily, because it just becomes such a buzzword and such a lifestyle issue. I just mean total acceptance, unconditional love, and total acceptance and honesty. It doesn't have to involve relationships with multiple people. It could. And that has to be one of the possibilities. Otherwise, you don't have that kind of relationship. Again, if you have any boundaries or limits to total unconditional love and acceptance, that means you don't have perfect love. I'm sorry to say it. That's just the way that it is. What happens when you meet someone who believes strongly in monogamy, 99% of people probably still today or more, and you get married, or especially if you have children, when you have children, the problem then becomes that you're with a person who basically doesn't value you. They don't love you unconditionally. They love the idea that you're the perfect husband or wife or partner who follows those rules better than what other people can do. So it's like this evaluation where you're meeting my needs that I've defined, the specific needs, and therefore you can stick around. However, if for whatever reason something happens in your side in your life that you change your mind, or that you cheat, or that you do something, which is quite common, let's face it, that person is going to want to take your child, and basically you'd be lucky to have access to your child. You lose that relationship. It threatens relationship with your child. It threatens everything about your life. So it's extremely risky to rush into a traditional monogamous marriage or relationship, because they so often end in disaster. As we know, more than half easily end in disaster. Okay. So what I decided when my marriage fell apart several years ago is that I'll never enter into that kind of relationship again. I'm going to do relationships so that I meet someone. If I live with someone, if I commit to someone and ever have children again, it's going to be with someone who who loves me eternally, unconditionally. And I'm going to love her the same way. And so what I've decided is I'm just not going to accept any rules or make any rules. I'm going to love. And that's the way that I do love. And I think everyone loves that way. I think once you fall in love, it is for life. I still love everyone who I've ever loved. Love doesn't come and go. These relationships based on separation. Now we have to bring this term up called separation. It's one of the cornerstones of what the ego believes in. So love believes in union. Love believes that we're all one, that the universe is just great oneness. But the ego says that we're separate from the universe, that there's a me, I want to get what I want, I'm important, I'm better, it's me, me, me. And the me is not connected to you, it's me against you. So if you believe in separation, that means you're defining a relationship based on the values of separation. So you're special to me because I know that you're not with anyone else, or you don't like anyone else, you're not having feelings for anyone else. And that's why we're together, because I trust that that's how you are. But that's not really loving the person, that's loving the condition. You're loving the role they play for you. And that's attachment. And you're saying that I believe I can get all my emotional needs met from this one person, and so can he or she from me. And of course, that doesn't ever actually work, because one person for life cannot fulfill every single need. It cannot be enough variety and richness of existence to help you reach your potential in your life and what you're here on this planet and this life to do. So we enter into these relationships without really negotiating or thinking about it, because we don't know any other way. We don't talk about these things. We're talking about sexual jealousy. I've never learned about that in school. It's kind of accepted that people are jealous. But it's not necessary. It's not inevitable. If you transcend the possibility of making rules, so your rules are basically no rules. That's the only rule, is no rules. Your rule is that when I love in a way that's unconditional love. There are no conditions to it. End of discussion. You don't say, except that one thing. If there's a one thing that's not unconditional love, then it's not love. Anything less than unconditional love is not really love. So you say, this is the way that I love. Now, if somebody rejects you for that, good. That's the wrong person. They don't want to love you. They want you to play a role. They want you to do something for them. And that's a long, arduous path to live a life where you're just being judged based on what you're doing. It never ends. It continues. You're not changing the diapers enough. You're not feeding the baby enough. You get up at night and do the bottle. Half and half. You clean half the time. I can't believe you said that at that party. I can't believe you did that 5 years ago. It never ends. So you want a relationship. If you want to be happy, maybe you don't want to be happy, maybe you want to be normal. If so, this is not the right show for you to watch. Go watch something else, because this is a show about relationship forward, a new way of doing relationships without ego, for the purpose of being blissfully happy, totally free, to be your best self. When I say your best self, I mean your good person self. The loving self that helps and takes care of people because you want to, because that's your natural state, your loving state. And when you're in a relationship that's based on freedom and total acceptance and unconditional love, now you're free to truly love. There just isn't any frustration. There's exuberance. I've been in this kind of relationship for the past, let's say, 3 to 4 years. I think it's about that long now. And we've never had an argument. I've never cheated, even though I used to cheat. I'm not saying that we haven't been with other people, because we have, and I don't want to get into the details of how we do that. Maybe I will in a future show, so subscribe. Because it's interesting. How do you do an encounter with more than one person? How do you do that sort of thing? I will share that. If you want to hear about that, ask me. I'll talk about that in the next episode. But this show's not about sex. It's about a happy relationship. It's not about having better sex, although that's definitely a benefit, because you will have better sex without jealousy. There's no question about that. Even if you're not having that sex, even if you just know that you can in the future, even if you know that, what, I'm with you, I don't feel like anyone else, I'm totally content. That's what I've experienced and what she's experienced, that we're both so happy in this relationship where we could do whatever we want to, it's okay, that we don't have a need. I actually have tried to meet other people, and what I find is I meet people who are not right for me, people who don't who don't see things this way. I meet people who want to possess and want to set rules and want to judge. I meet people who want to do relationships within the ego. So it's not that scary to set your partner free, because you're going to be the only man or woman in their life, at least how the world is now, who can do that for them. And so the other people are not going to, how are they going to go to someone else and leave you when, first of all, they don't even believe in leaving you, they believe in unconditional eternal love. That's the marriage. I want to have children with you because I know that you're not going to leave me. I'm not going to leave you. I'm going to have access to that child. Even if you're with someone else, I have total access to that child. That's just the way it is. You can agree on that. You're going to love each other whether or not you spend every single minute together. So now, am I worried she's going to meet somebody else? Who's she going to meet? Some guy who wants to do the old relationship that doesn't work when ours does work? See, there's no threat, right? But if she does have a need, then I guess, I love her and I want her to experience whatever she needs to experience. And she feels the same way about me. It's amazing. And it's not because we're lucky and we found each other. It's because we consciously decided to do the relationship differently, to do it based on perfect love. The Course in Miracles talks about special relationships. If you ever want to dive so deep into ego and into love, A Course in Miracles. Just look into it, and maybe it's for you, maybe it's not. It's not for everyone, but for me, it changed my life. That this perfect relationship, the special relationship, is all about clinging to one person to find meaning and purpose in life. And in fact, that's not the meaning and purpose in life. It's wonderful to have a holy relationship with a person. And I'm saying, I know, if your ego is involved in this, you've probably already tuned out. But if you're still here, and I'm saying, open relationship that's holy, yes, exactly. What you're going to find on Relationship Forward is that if you want to be deeply, truly happy, to be completely conscious, and to bring that into the world through your relationships, pretty much all the strategies or the ideas being presented here go against conventional wisdom, because conventional wisdom is ego. It's exactly wrong. So I hope you got something out of this. I'd love to hear your comments, feedback, and questions. I'll answer any relationship question or issue. I hope to do hundreds or thousands of these, because I love this. I love just talking about a specific thing that we all go through. How can it be done differently without ego, and how does that lead to a happier result? So I hope you consider. I know it's difficult to change current relationships. You risk the relationship if you want to bring up open relationship into a current relationship or marriage. You do take a chance because you're changing the foundation and your partner may not go along. But if you're single, I would highly recommend doing some soul searching and trying to establish this as the basis of your relationship with everyone you meet from the very beginning. It's much easier in the beginning before that possessiveness has a chance to take hold. And then you'll find that you're both very happy in that relationship, and you'll understand why, and you won't want to change it. And so, my partner and I, Susanna, we have a newborn baby. We've been together. We lived together for many years now, and we don't want to change it. We don't want to change anything about this because it's working so well, and the love continues to flow just like it did in the very beginning. It's remarkable. And beyond that, we're both free to go out in the world and do whatever we want to. And I can say things. I can make this video and I can say the truth. Whereas I couldn't do that in my old relationship. So there are so many benefits, and honestly, jealousy is only that emotion that comes when you set a rule and someone violates it, then you feel disrespected. Jealousy makes everything about you. You're insulting me. How can that be an insult to you that someone else finds someone else attractive? It's not about you. You have that relationship. Everything is wonderful. But you have to talk about it. You have to know where you're coming from, and and the only way to truly talk is to have total openness. And you're not going to have total openness unless you have unconditional love, because only in unconditional love can any thought or idea or truth be expressed. There's no punishment or negative reaction, because you've both agreed to that. You're going to test that a few times and see if that's actually true. But eventually you'll get, and by the way, if there are difficulties at first, and there is jealousy, work through it. Be honest about it. Hey, I'm feeling jealous. I feel like you don't love me as much as before because you're right into that girl. It's okay to have that conversation, but what's not okay is to say, don't ever do that again. You have to work through it and state your needs, state your truths, And you will come to a point, if you're communicating honestly and openly, you do always get to a point where there is understanding and trust and love, and probably great sex following that conversation. If you would like to meet people like this, check back on these teachings and join the I Am by InfoBeing community, the mobile app. Download from the App Store or Google Play, log in, get an account, and start creating statements saying what kind of relationship you'd like to have. It's also a dating app. You can meet people there who are also committed to perfect love and this relationship model. We're just getting started, but that's the idea. So help us spread the word, and we're going to do something different, which is not just talk. We're going to live. We're going to live these ideals. That's what it's all about. And putting things into practice, putting spiritual truth into practice means putting into our relationships, because that is our greatest spiritual practice in this world, is our relationships. And I wish you a truly, at least one holy relationship for life based on perfect love.